Welcome to the Bearded Console Gamer and to the first ever episode of the weekly news roundup, wherein I go through the last 7 days of video game news and find you only the chunkiest morsels of information that you need to know about, in the order that I would like to tell you about them. Ladies and gentlemen, this would normally happen on a Friday, but it's been a hell of a week. But the good news is that this way, you get to start your week in the know. So let's get into that delicious news. Here's a worrying development to start with. NBA 2K21 is going to cost $64.99 in the UK, or $69.99 in the US. That's a $10 price hike, and whilst granted it only applies to the next-gen versions of the game, it is still the first title to announce that it's going to cost more on the new consoles. You can bet that all the other big players in the industry are watching the reaction to this markup with avaricious eyes. More titles are sure to follow suit, so look forward to shilling out more for your games along with a hefty upfront cost of purchasing a new console. This is only going to make services like Xbox One's Game Pass all the more appealing. In PlayStation/PC news, Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to the Steam and Epic Game Store on August 7th. As you'd expect, the PC port is going to come with a range of new graphics options, including the ability to play in super wide screen resolutions and to unlock the frame rate, along with graphical tweaks such as improved reflections, dynamic foliage, and a benchmarking tool. Being the complete edition as it is, it will come bundled with the Frozen Wilds DLC. Now the weird thing here is that I've already seen a fair few people upset by the prospect of a PlayStation exclusive game coming to the PC. I don't understand this view. PlayStation players have already had this game for over 3 years. Why would you now complain about people being able to experience this amazing piece of art on the system of their choice? If anything, it's just going to make them want to buy a PS4 or PS5 and support the ecosystem which you guys love. At the time of writing, the pre-order for Zero Dawn is leading Steam's top sellers list, and I for one can't wait for those filthy PC mongrels to get their hands on it. Last week, Sony's own Shuhei Yoshida announced the PlayStation Indies Initiative, along with a batch of 9 games that are going to be coming to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in 2020 and 2021. Some of the games showcased looked so amazing that I decided to do a standalone video covering the reveals. Be sure to head over to my channel and take a look for more details. PlayStation has also taken action to suspend all advertising on Facebook and Instagram until the end of July, as part of the Stop Hate for Profit campaign, which seeks to stem the tide of hateful and false information proliferating on social media. Microsoft, meanwhile, has renewed its trademark for Fable with intent to use, which will only stoke rumours of a long-anticipated sequel to the popular RPG franchise. Literally right as I was recording this section, Xbox tweeted out that their game showcase is going to be held on July 23rd at 9 AM PT. Now the fact that they've referred to it as a game showcase suggests that maybe we are not going to see the reveal of the next gen console Lockhart at this time, and that has in fact slipped back to August. So that's an interesting move, but they obviously knew that I was recording and they wanted to get that nugget of information out so that I could record it in my roundup. In other news, Ubisoft has announced that its digital showcase stream Ubi Forward will take place on July 12th. We're sure to see some new Watch Dogs Legion's gameplay and hopefully a release date for that, along with some gameplay of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They'll also be showing off other games, including their futuristic upcoming Battle Royale Hyperscape, which got its world premiere trailer last week. It would also be cool to see a Far Cry 6 reveal thrown in too, and maybe some Beyond Good and Evil 2, and a little more from the unfortunately named Rainbow Six Quarantine. Also, Devolver Digital is set to hold their virtual conference on July the 11th. This was always going to be one of the highlights of E3, and I'm glad we're still getting it in a COVID-altered world. Expect gratuitous violence, blood, and the continuation of the story that would put most AAA writers to shame. Last week also treated us to another cinematic trailer for Ghost of Tsushima. Whilst it didn't tell us anything new in itself, it did add to the level of hype surrounding the game. Details are starting to trickle out regarding the customization and battle mechanics. It looks like it shares a lot of DNA with recent Assassin's Creed titles in terms of combat and exploration, and the grappling hook used by the protagonist in some of the clips looks very Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Speaking of Sekiro, I still have nightmares of the Guardian Ape flinging his poop at me. It actually made me rage quit the game, so if you have a hack that makes that boss super easy, please feel free to drop it in the comments. Crossing into the adult world for a moment, the UK's House of Lords, which if you don't know what that is an unelected group of largely privileged people who somehow still have a say in politics despite the fact that we're in the year 2020, has called for loot boxes to be immediately reclassified as gambling under UK law. The call was included as one of 7 key recommendations made in a new report by the House of Lords, who are seeking to rein in the disastrous effects of gambling on consumers. Despite the fact that loot boxes, or surprise mechanics, as they were artfully dubbed by EA rep Kerry Hopkins in 2019, have been around since the early 2010s and are clearly a gambling mechanic, they have yet to be classified as gambling under UK law and therefore regulated as gambling. The fact that these mechanics often target naive children is neither here nor there, obviously. Now, the House of Lords is asking the government to amend the Gambling Act of 2005 in order to define loot boxes and other gaming mechanics like it as games of chance, and so bring them under the remit of gambling legislation and regulation. Back to the world of games where we all truly belong, Microsoft managed to leak details of Crysis Remastered last week. That's right, just in case you missed it, the legendary PC melting game will be coming to a PlayStation, Xbox One, PC and even a Switch near you soon. The original leak came in the form of a premature Microsoft Store listing, which gave us a supposed release date of July 23rd. We also got a glimpse of some screenshots and later some trailer footage. Soon after the jig was agreed to be most definitely up, Crytek put up an official statement in tweet form, in which it announced that the title would be delayed on all platforms by a couple of weeks in order to allow them to further polish the game and get Crysis Remastered up to the PC and console breaking standards that we've come to expect. July 3rd saw the release of Iron Man VR, so if you fancy escaping the hellscape we currently tread, why not be a billionaire in an armoured suit blasting drones with your hands? Okay, that sentence actually started out sarcastically, but strap me down and paddle me raw if that doesn't sound like some good stress relief. In other news, every gamer's significant other, aka Nintendo, made overtures of an apology regarding Joy-Con Driftgate. The apology came during a financial Q&A. Kicking now briefly to a Kotaku article written by one Brian Ashcroft, Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa is quoted as saying, "Regarding the Joy-Con, we apologise for any trouble caused to our customers. We are continuing to aim to improve our products, but as the Joy-Con is the subject of a class action lawsuit in the United States, and this is still a pending issue, we would like to refrain from responding about any specific actions." Well, Mr. Furukawa, I thank you for your apology, and I will be sure to relay it to my Animal Crossing Islander next time he makes an unexpected dash towards the unforgiving tail of a scorpion. Next up, the director for the upcoming Metal Gear Solid movie, Jordan Vogt-Roberts, wants the original Snake voice actor David Hayter to reprise his role in an animated series set in the titular universe. Following the news, Hayter tweeted, "Metal Gear? It can't be," and proceeded to tag in the director of the upcoming movie, Vogt-Roberts, Christopher Randolph, aka Hal Otacon Emmerich, Paul Eading, aka Colonel Roy Campbell, and Jennifer Hale, the voice of the boss herself. Imagine if this new series reunited the cast of the earlier games. It would be incredible for the Metal Gear fandom. Randolph, Hale and Eading all seemed super into the idea, so it is a possibility. The ball is in your court, Vogt-Roberts and co. Let's make it happen. And now, big news for the Kinda Funny community. For those of you that don't know, Kinda Funny runs a show called In Review, in which they watch through, discuss and rank popular movie franchises. They just got done carving their way through Star Trek in Review and Lord of the Rings in Review, and just a few days ago the gang announced their next offering. Starting this Tuesday, Kinda Funny will be embarking on Nolan in Review. Your favourite ensemble, Greg, Kevin, Nick, Tim and beautiful Andy, will be taking apart the movies Memento, Insomnia, The Prestige, heckin' great movie there, Interstellar and Dunkirk. Now, that's going to be cool enough on its own, but the next announcement made my freaking week. Kinda Funny is also going to be taking on Studio Ghibli in Review. These are among my favourite movies, and now I have an excuse to watch them all through again and then have 5 of the funniest folks in the video gaming industry give us their takes. More specifically, they're going to be focusing on movies by the great Hayao Miyazaki, including Castle of Cagliostro, at the demand of the ancient and venerable Nick Scarpino, Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, and of course the best of the best, Spirited Away. Also, Tim calls it Ghibli. It's Ghibli, right? Or is that a British thing? Because it can't be Ghibli. Look it up, Tim. Finally, I couldn't do a news video without addressing recent disturbing events that have shaken the industry. The last couple of weeks have seen stories of harassment and abuse brought to light by the brave stories of those who have lived through them. Any words I would have to say on this subject would be paltry in the scope of the suffering that has come to light. So instead, I'd ask you, if you haven't already, to go and read the accounts of the survivors of this harassment. And for starters, there's an article by Emma Kent over at Eurogamer, who has written a touching piece about her personal experiences in the industry and why it needs to change. I've linked to that in the description below. That's all of the news for this week, but please stay tuned for more video gaming news and reactions, and above all, please be kind to each other. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and hit that notifications bell.